Hey YouTubers, this is Tim at jlminiatures.com. I just wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to build an executioner for the Dark Elf army by using just the regular repeater crossbowmen / spearman guys. First thing you're going to need is the upper and lower torso from the spearman. You're going to need a shield arm. You're going to need a spear arm with whichever you want to use for the sword. I used the other ones, but I ran out, so I've got to fill up a rank with these guys here. And then you also need the this right here is the standard arm. You can tell it's a lot longer than the spear, and also it's just a kind of decorative type point to it. It doesn't have the really gnarly cuts and jags in it like the other one. First thing you want to do is build your upper and lower torso. Second thing is to come through and you're going to take and cut the spear off of the standard arm. Now you want to be really careful with this because you want to keep the arm and the hand intact. So just cut really nice and easy with it. Eventually it'll just kind of pop. And then what you want to do is you want to clean this up. The strap doesn't really matter. You can keep that in there. It leaves a little bit of extra decorative type of look, but you also want to keep that point that's on the armor. So I tried to cut it back and then smooth it out flush, and then just kind of pop it with your knife. You can see how I just cut that right off there. Same thing with the top. With the top, you want to take a notch where the thumb is first. You'll see there's the thumb on the inside here. What I like to do is just come in with my X-Acto, kind of press down on a little bit, come on the back side of it, and then just press down, and then it snips it clear. You can still see that I have the thumb still there, and it just makes the miniature look that much more professional when you do it. It's just something that you kind of practice at, and it'll stay right there with you when you need it. And then I just scrape the mold line right here. It's got a kind of a funky mold line on the back of the thumb. And then that's pretty much it with this. One thing you need to do, and I'll show you right here, is on the arm, it doesn't position quite right. So what I do is I take and hack a big wedge out. And this wedge will actually bring this arm in more instead of out and up. It'll bring it in and up. So that always helps. So these are your two arms that you're going to need. Now for the spear arm right here, all we need is the blade and that wrapping. That's the only thing. Well, and the end of the spear. The end of the spear, I just take and just trim the edge of that off. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of cut it flush, or even on a semi-angle to the to here. What you want to do is cut it kind of like that, so it's not completely straight up and down. It's more like this, because what happens is when you put the shield hand or arm on, it's going to be kind of cocked. And what you want to do is you want to put this in there to make it look straight. So kind of want to deceive a little bit and make things look a little bit better. Again, like I said, that's just waste after that. And then this right here is going to be the wrapping in between the hands. So that's another important piece to keep. Now, when assembling the miniatures, I use testers. I don't believe in any of that other glue. I've tried bunches of it, and I don't like it. Some of them, I've noticed they leave like a white residue around the edges of the glue and onto the miniature, and like super glue and stuff like that. That doesn't work really good for the plastics, as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to testers and stuff like that, this stuff here melts and it will not break off at the joint, where you glue it. Sorry about that. It won't break off at the joint where you glue it. It'll actually break off at like the elbow or something like that, or the wrist, and that's always nice. As you can see, these guys are in plastic. If you guys have watched my videos before, you know that I absolutely hate metal miniatures, and the executioners are metal. So I decided to come up with a different way and a more inexpensive way to have a 24-man unit than to go out and buy a command and then buy 3 extra boxes guys, just or four extra units of guys or whatever, just to have that unit of 24. Now this is the kind of the hard part, is you want to kind of play around with it a little bit, and you might have to take it off and then readjust and everything else. Right now, while the glue's still wet, you can do that several times and it won't really matter. You just don't want to take and slop the glue on there, get everything to where it won't stick again unless you scrape it all off. I just keep working it back and forth till I get it in that position where I'm kind of comfortable with it. Now these guys are going to have the sword almost directly in front of them, maybe on a slight angle, something like that. But I try to keep it as close as I can to center. It looks a lot better. Kind of makes it look like they're kind of peeking around that huge blade. Now what you're going to do is you're going to glue in between each hand, and then that's where the wrapping is going to go. Now the wrapping I just kind of pick up with my blade and my knife. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't for some people. But as you can see, there's a slight gap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of tap that upper arm down onto it. And as you can see, it's pretty straight. And that's what we want to keep doing, is just kind of tap it down there until it seeds in. Now with some of these, I'll just take the blade and I'll kind of just work it back and forth and get it in that right position till I'm really happy with the way it looks. I'll grab some more glue here and dab the bottom of the hand. That's where the end of the knife is going to go there. Now remember, we took and cut one side a little bit more on an angle than the other. So what I like to do is just put it up in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move it around till I feel that it's in the proper position. I think that looks pretty good. I'm trying to get some more light down here for you. You can see how I just put that piece right there. Okay, on to the next part. I'm just going to add some more glue. I just take and put a little dab on my my palette here. Seems to work pretty good. Now on the blade, with his thumb being there, I just take a little notch right out of the edge. It's really kind of hard to see because it is just a tiny piece, but that way it kind of wedges it up in there, and then when you set it with the glue, it just gives it one more angle to kind of get a hold of and hang on to. Now you just have to hold it there for a second, and there you go. Now that right there is pretty much your Dark Elf Executioner. One of the things I've been working on is the heads. I wanted the heads to be totally different than any other heads out there, and of course you end up with a billion of these different heads. And what I've been doing is I'll snip the head off. I'll show you really quick. You're going to take and go right where the mouth is at, and you can go right where the mouth is at, and you're going to cut kind of all the way back through. Okay, so you're going to get part of the back of the helmet and his neck, and then that's going to be pretty much it. Now listen here, you have to kind of push hard, so watch your fingers and everything else when you do this, because it can cut you pretty good. Now this right here, this is from the upper lip up. We don't even need this. That can go in your bits box or in the trash. This right here is one of the standard pieces that you get with it, and this is what I decided to use my executioners, and I'm going to give them, instead of the hooded mask type things for executioners, like in the old days, I decided to go with a skull. I figured these guys are like head hunter, trophy taker type of guys, so I decided to make these guys with skull caps. Now what you're going to do is just kind of line up the bottom of the lip with the bottom of the skull, and you can see how that fits right in there. And what that does is it also gives you a place you can actually set the head in. You can set the head in place. I've already got one done so you can see, but you can set the head in place, and then there you go. Just like that, you just snip off the chain, and then you've got your Dark Elf executioners. Again, this is Tim at JL Miniatures. If you have any questions or anything like that, any comments, I'd be greatly glad to hear them. You can also email me, put a posting on. I'm always willing to help and give suggestions. I'm looking for painting commissions and conversion commissions, so get a hold of me. I'm ready to do some work for you. Thanks.